Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk. Delighted as always to be joined by Paul Kelly. This is a reaction video to the news that Josh Taylor will return after a year at the ring to take on former British and Commonwealth champion Eko Esman. Paul, good to be joined by you as always. There were quite a few fights rumoured to be announced today. I don't think this was particularly one of them. However, we've been waiting news about the return for Josh Taylor for some time. Give us your instant reaction to this fight being made, please.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, mate. I mean, as a former undisputed champion, I'm excited to see Josh Taylor back in the ring. His whole rivalry with Catterall is obviously kind of settled. He had that Teofimo Lopez defeat, but on his day, we know how good Josh Taylor is. There was a while where he completely dominated at super lightweight
Mm.
and picked up every belt there was to win. Yeah, all action. Love watching it. Love his style as well. And yeah, I still think there's a lot left in Josh Taylor. I think I'm glad to see him back. Obviously, hopefully, I think the signs are that this is going to be a welterweight, mate. As far as we're concerned, so I'm glad to see that. Think a lot of people have been calling for that for a few years now, maybe with Josh Taylor. And hopefully that brings out the best in him. But yeah, my initial thoughts, mate, excitement to see Josh Taylor back.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think such a talent has achieved so much, and it's been such a shame that he just hasn't been very active. It's been 3, 4 years now. He's not been that active. I also think time it's for another video, but it's great that he's finally moving up to 147. It's a surprise that it's taken him so long, and I want to see what he can do at 147 as well. So I really hope you're right, and hope that a lot is left in this new era of Josh Taylor's career. Thoughts on Eko Esman as an opponent, Paul? Esman's not done a lot wrong in his career, just the one loss on his record, which was a close fight to Harry Scarf just over a year ago. Beaten Samuel Antwi, beaten Chris Congo, beaten a couple of undefeated fighters, albeit at a much lower level to Josh Taylor in his last couple of fights. Has one picked up a whole bunch of belts in his career as well, including the British and Commonwealth. Thoughts on him as an opponent?
I mean, I think it kind of makes sense, I suppose. And not you're not we're not outraged. He's not having a complete knockover. Josh Taylor here on his 147 debut. I think this is a good opponent. He's a bit of a without being a huge name. He's very well known to British fight fans. As you mentioned, former British champion, former Commonwealth champion, held up has a couple of good wins on your record. You know that as you mentioned, that's Samuel Antwi when he aged quite well, and also the Chris Congo one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some good wins. Obviously, as you mentioned, came unstuck against Harry Scarf, but yeah, Harry Scarf then obviously went on a good run there with the British and stuff as well. So yeah, I think it's a decent opponent without being, one, put it this way, it'll be one where Josh Taylor will be a big favourite in, and rightly so. I completely agree with that. But he will, it won't be a knockover, put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple questions more from me, Paul, before we wrap up. What's just going to ask you what you think happens, really. I think Josh Taylor will be a favorite for this fight. However, there are, despite what we've said, there will be question marks over kind of what he has left. So yeah, keen to get kind of your early prediction for this one ahead of May.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's a long, long time away, but you can't look past Josh Taylor, can you, really? I think that if an 80% version of what we've seen of Josh Taylor at his best turns up. He beats Eko Esman, and that's no disrespect to Esman at all. But I just think, as you've alluded to as well, Elliot, I think he's a world class fighter. Josh Taylor, he's proved that. Um, those feats that he has on his resume now, like Lateral looks like he could be one of the best 140ers in the world. At the minute, so that's kind of, albeit for he was a big favorite against Catterall the first fight, and even probably the second fight. I think Catterall's shown the level he's at. And then obviously Teofimo Lopez as well. We know that on his day, Teofimo Lopez is a complete world beater and could be one of the best fighters in the world as well. So if you're looking at them as his only defeats, like that's quite good company. He obviously has a whole host of amazing wins as well. But yeah, I make Josh Taylor the favorite. I think he gets the job done. Um, I'm interested to see how he looks at welterweight. If well, right here, right now, I probably actually lean towards a stoppage mid to late on.
I think a stoppage would be well welcomed for his kind of not necessarily confidence, but just him kind of making his statements. We will see what happens. Final question from me, Paul. Just throwing a bit of a kind of a wild card at you here. A fight I've mentioned before, and a fight that I think would be a fight that would have an incredible build up. It would be a big fight in British boxing. Would be against another British welterweight in Conor Benn. Conor Benn, as we know, is facing Chris Eubank Jr. at the end of April at middleweight. Um, with Josh Taylor now officially moving to welterweight, is that a fight you can see happening? Conor Benn, we don't know what his plans are after Eubank Jr. There was the possibility he was going to fight Mario Barrios for the WBC world title. That fight, look, it's two big names in British boxing. As I said, the billet would be fantastic. Is that a fight you can see happening possibly early 2026? Maybe could maybe even be before the end of this year.
Yeah, I probably can see it happen. There's a lot of money to be made in that fight, isn't there? As you mentioned, it would be do massive numbers as well. Definitely in the UK, and I suppose it kind of depends on the whole Ben and Eubank situation and what happens there. Like, if he's to lose Ben against Eubank, you're likely going to see him come back down to 147 anyway and just say, "Oh, I sure it was at 160 anyway." But that's the way I see it. But if he's to beat Eubank, will he hang about at 154? Have a try and I don't know, is there a rematch clause, kind of thing. I'm not too sure. But if he comes back down and does campaign at welterweight again and Josh Taylor does, yeah, it's a fight I would like to see. And it's a fight I would favour Josh Taylor heavily in.
Fantastic. All right, I won't take up any more of your time, Paul. Good to be joined by you. Great to hear the news today that Josh Taylor's return to the ring has been confirmed. No official date yet. We are being told May. We're being told Glasgow against former British and Commonwealth champion Eko Esman. Paul, good to be joined by you as always. I'll speak to you again very soon.
Pleasure as always, mate. Cheers.